Welcome back, my fairies. I am Matsuyorific, and we are back with Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, Season 5, Episode 3, Destruction. And oh my gosh, I am so excited for this episode. As always, I am recording this part before having actually seen the episode, so this is the part where we just sort of spend a little time speculating what the episode's going to be, based on the information that we have already. So we got a trailer the other day, which I reacted to on my channel if you want to see it. And we got a synopsis. So this is kind of looking like it might be a what if episode, because the synopsis starts with, what if Monarch had the Kwamis lead him to Ladybug's house and he just shows up in Marinette's room? I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it right in front of me, but that's basically the gist of it. So yeah, when we were watching the trailer, I theorized that this is actually going to take place during episode 1 of season 5, Evolution. I theorized this would take place during Evolution, but during the part where they've sort of lost track of Monarch, where he's basically, traveling through the past and everything, because his costume looks like it does in that episode. And we do know that after he starts using the rings and everything, he stops using that costume. But it's also possible, because I don't think we actually got to see Monarch in episode 2, now that I'm thinking about it. So this could be its own thing, but we also see him using Burrow, so that's kind of a moot point. Actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, it actually just occurred to me that he could have also been using Voyage, because that is the horse's power. I can't believe I didn't think about that until just now. But that would also be an interesting concept, is he's like, yeah, lead me to Ladybug's house, and then he uses Voyage. I know, English it's voyage, but I think they actually say voyage. Well, no, okay. Regardless of how you pronounce it, voyage, regardless, looks like he might be using Voyage. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. This is why I do these recordings ahead of time, before actually watching the episode. But we see him using Voyage, so this might not be from episode 1, so I guess that theory is kind of null and void. So, it still could be, but it probably isn't. But it also could be, considering the fact that this might be a what-if episode. And there wasn't really a whole lot that we could learn from the trailer itself, but we do know that there is a spoiler out there that Cat Noir is going to use his Cataclysm on a person. And in the trailer, we do see his hand tied to Monarch's hand, and Cataclysm is active. So that is possibly going to be from this episode. If not, then I am going to be losing it into anticipation, because it's like, I want to see what happens, but at the same time, I'm also like, I don't want him to be suffering out of guilt because he used Cataclysm on a real person. Like, the only time we've actually seen him willing to use Cataclysm on a real person is when he's either being controlled, akumatized, or during the first episode where he tried to use it on Stoneheart. But I don't think at that time he really thought about what would happen if he used it on a person. So, yeah. The mama cat in me just is like, no, I don't want to see that. But at the same time, it's like, I love the drama. Alright, also, real quick about the visuals that you are seeing today. For those of you who are new to this channel, I do art as visuals for my reviews instead of the traditional having clips on the screen and everything. Clips get copyrighted by YouTube all the time, even when you try to edit everything. My most popular video on this channel, by far, has clips in it, and I can't monetize it because they claimed a couple of seconds of the video, and that was it, and that was all that it took. So I'm keeping these with the visuals, so I hope you guys understand. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and watch the episode, and then I will be right back But that's only going to take a second for you guys. Just like that. Oh my gosh, you guys. So, this was the episode where Cat Noir cataclysmed somebody, but it's like, oh, I wish we could have seen more of how he reacted after that. But I was sort of right in my theory about this being episode 1. So, okay, well, I guess this takes place more during episode 2 than anything else. But, yeah, so this is technically an in-between episode. So basically, it seems that, okay, so let me start over. So first off, first we get this scene of Gabriel. He's down in the sanctuary with Emily, and he's got all the Kwamis out, and it looks like this takes place right after he gets back from his little stint with time travel. So this is basically the start of episode 2, but it's mostly from Gabriel's point of view, which was interesting. And he's talking to the Kwamis, and he tries to have I forget his name right now. The Rooster Kwami give him the power to get the miraculous and to know their identities and stuff, and they're like, we can't do that. And we get a little bit of interesting lore about the Rooster's power. So he can't grant the power that any miraculous gives him, which is interesting. So like if it's a power that one of the Kwamis holds and is able to give out to another person, then the Rooster can't give that out to anybody, which is interesting. So he can't give out the power of voyage or illusions or any of that, which is interesting. But that also begs the question of, what about the other miraculous? Because there are obviously other miraculouses out there. We've seen at least one other miraculous that's not part of this box, and then of course there's also the prodigious. So it's like, what about those powers? Is it just for the powers that are in this miracle box? Is it for all of the miraculous out there? Because we know there are a lot of other miraculous out there from, not just from the ones that we saw, but also from Feast. And we learned about how Feast had devoured every miraculous box out there except for the Chinese box. So that makes it kind of interesting. It's like, okay, but what are all the limitations then? Because there's got to be hundreds of miraculous and Kwamis out there, so that's definitely an interesting concept. But then he goes through all of his options and then finally realizes, well, you could still tell me where Ladybug lives, and then which actually turns out to be part of Marinette's plan all along, but we'll get into that at the end. So the Kwamis tell him to follow the smell of croissants. They don't tell him the actual address, they just tell him to follow the smell of croissants. Because they don't know Ladybug's actual address, they just know this hint that they're supposed to give him. So he follows the smell of croissants to the Dupan Chang Bakery, and he finds Marinette. And is like... and the Kwamis tell him to ask for a gift that Ladybug left for Marinette. And that is the thing that she is going to grab. That's what that key was that she grabbed in the trailer. So she gives him this key with a Ladybug charm on it. And, and this part actually takes place during the sleepover that Marinette and Alia have at the very start of Multiplication. So she gives him this key, and there's with a little charm, and there's a piece of paper on the attached to it in the little charm that basically has a number on it, and it gives him a clue to go to the ice rink. So he goes to the ice rink, and my gosh, the guy who runs the ice rink is like way too excited to have a supervillain visit his ice rink. Oh, before that, there is actually a quick little scene with Marinette's parents that I really want to address because it's so super cute and pure and wholesome, and oh my gosh, I love Tom in this scene. So Tom is coming up with a new bread recipe, which kind of reminds me of Digimon Tamers when Takado's father was making the Guilmon bread uh, to cheer on Takado and Guilmon and the other kids. And he's like, I'm going to make Guilmon bread because that's what his friends wanted, and this is my way of showing support to my son. And it was like really cute. But Tom is making new bread in hopes that it will be so delicious that it will make the people of Paris so happy that that they will never get akumatized. So it's like his way of helping Ladybug and Cat Noir. He's making this bread in hopes that it'll make all of Paris so happy that Monarch will not have anyone to akumatize. It's like, that is so wholesome. And then Sabine goes over to Tom and she's like, I don't know if it's the bread or your large heart, but I think I've just fallen even more in love with you. It's like, oh, that was so cute. They're so sweet. I love them. Oh my gosh, that was so pure. That was so cute. But anyways, oh yeah, I also forgot the bit in Marinette's room. So while Monarch is still in her room, Alia comes back in because she stepped away to get them a snack. She's trying to distract Marinette from the fact that she made such a big mistake. So she goes to get a snack. And then she comes back and she drops everything on the ground when she sees Monarch in Marinette's room. She's like, oh, snap. Oh my gosh. Monarch is in Marinette's room. He must know she's Ladybug. This is not good. But she improvises and she comes up with a really good plan right off the bat. It's like, okay, I'm going to give Marinette a bit of a cover. I'm going to post this video online like, oh my gosh, Monarch is in my best friend's room. Like, hey, Monarch, what's going on? Now that you've got the miraculous, can you answer some questions? And then he grabs her phone and smashes it. And it's like, that's censorship. I love her line. That's censorship! Which is not the first time that she's used that line either. But he smashes her phone, and then he gets the clue to go to the ice rink. And, my gosh, I think his name is Philippe. Yeah, he is way too excited to have Monarch, to have a friggin' supervillain visit his ice rink. And it looks like he's actually got his own website that he's posting pictures on for whenever a big celebrity comes to visit his ice rink. And he takes a selfie with Monarch, and Monarch goes to a locker and uses the key and finds a picture of the Ladybug and Cat Noir statues that are in the museum. So he's like, okay, well, I need to go to the museum next. Basically, this is supposed to be like this game that Ladybug set up in case the Kwamis ever get lost, so they can always find their way back to her. And the first clue is to follow the smell of croissants, and then go to the ice rink. And it's just a little scavenger hunt, which is actually really cute. I almost kind of want to see the Kwamis going on this scavenger hunt, to be honest. And then Philippe winds up posting about the fact that Monarch was visiting him, and I kind of like the tags that he put in. He's like, Iceman visiting the rink, Monarch or Hawk Penguin, a mighty visit from a prestigious villain. It's like, I love that, Hawk Penguin. Like, can we get that trending, please? Like, oh my goodness, we need Hawk Penguin to trend. Like, if anyone has come up with a ice power form for Monarch or Hawkmoth or whatever, we need to, that needs to be posted, and that needs to be hashtag Hawk Penguin. That or like some fan art of him just as a penguin. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, I imagine that's gonna be really cursed, but I also kind of want to see that just for the lulz. That was really funny. So he goes to the Wax Museum and finds the statues of Ladybug and Cat Noir, and he inspects the statues, and then he notices a paper inside of Cat Noir's bell, and it's basically supposed to be the end of the address, but then it turns out it's not actually an address, it just says Halfwit, which was hilarious. He's like, Halfwit, yep. And then it turns out that the statue was actually the real Cat Noir. He's like, heard that's your address! Which was really clever. Really cute. But then they attack Monarch, and Ladybug already has her Lucky Charm out. So I was right about that being a Lucky Charm. It was obvious, but she already has her Lucky Charm out. She ties Cat Noir's hand to Monarch's hand, and then has Cat Noir activate his Cataclysm, basically just as a threat. The threat is that if he moves or says anything other than detransform me, then Cat Noir will Cataclysm him, basically as a threat to keep him from trying to get away, while she gets all the miraculous back. But then Monarch decides that it's worth the risk of getting cataclysmed, and he basically pulls his arm down, forcing Cat Noir to cataclysm his arm, and then uses Voyage to teleport away, and we get the scene that I was dreading, with Cat Noir just being so upset that he cataclysmed somebody. He's like, yes, it was Monarch, but there's still a real person under that mask, and I must have hurt him so bad. It's like, he's so pure to be worried about the bad guy like that, even when he doesn't know that it's his father. It's like, imagine how much worse he's going to feel when he finds out that is his father, and he just did that damage to his father. Like, oh my gosh. Oh. And, he's like, Ladybug, can't you do something? Can't you fix this? And she's like, no, I wish I could, but he got away with my Lucky Charm, so I don't have the power to fix anything. So that means that now Gabriel's arm is permanently damaged. Well, I don't know if it might potentially heal or anything later on, but if it doesn't heal on its own, it might be permanently damaged. But, we'll have to see if that damage is actually permanent or not. We don't know if Cataclysm damage is permanent, but at the very least, his arm is not going to be in very good condition for a while now. And then, so we get that scene, and he's just so upset that he actually used his power on somebody. He didn't actually want to cataclysm him. It was just a threat. It wasn't a promise. Like, it was just to keep him from trying to get away. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you intentionally injure yourself like that? So then we get back to, so they split up, and then we get Marinette and Alia back in Marinette's room, and they're talking about the plan that they just had. And Marinette explains that when she first became the Guardian, she always worried about what would happen if one of the Miraculous was taken, and the Kwame was forced to lead Monarch, at the time, Shadow Moth, back to her. So she came up with this plan of the scavenger hunt, and the clues were never meant to lead anyone to her address. It was all pre-planned in case Monarch got the Miraculous. so that they could trap him and trick him to try and get everything back from him, including his original miraculous. But unfortunately, it didn't work, so they didn't get anything out of it. But at the very least, now they know that Monarch isn't going to try to come after them again. The cover story was that Ladybug just gave this gift to her in case she got lost or something. So because she's so clumsy, and Ladybug gave her the mouse miraculous before, but she's so clumsy. So what if they can't find each other? So they came up with this little scavenger hunt, and it's like okay. And that's supposed to be why Marinette has this key, which, to be honest, if it wasn't for the skating rink thing and the museum thing, then that very well could have been, if it wasn't for those two parts, then it would have been like, okay, well, why did, Ladybug clearly must have some sort of connection to Marinette Dupenchain, because otherwise why would she leave this piece with her? But now it's like, okay, well, Ladybug left these 3 clues with 3 different people, so Marinette just falls into the crowd, which was also really clever. They don't say anything about that part of the plan, but that's something that I noticed, and I think that was actually really clever. But then Alia points out the fact that her phone is now broken too, which, again, because Ladybug couldn't fix everything with her magic ladybugs, now her phone is broken and she's gonna need another one. But it turns out that Ladybug was also the one who inspired Philippe to create his website and post all the pictures and stuff. And it was all part of her plan, but she tells him that, it might draw in more customers if people see all the celebrities that come to visit his rink. And he's like, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll create a website so I can post all these pictures. And she's like, I'll be your first follower. And then she tells Cat Noir, but she doesn't tell him about the whole address thing. So she's like, yeah, just, follow this website, because he's like, if you told me you were going to the rink, then I would have come with you. Invite me next time. And she's like, yeah, just follow his website, and you'll know when I'm there. And he's like, yeah, sure. And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll follow the hashtag Ladybug, and I'll be like, also be sure to follow, I think she said Hawkmoth at the time. And he's like, why would I want to follow him? And she's like, trust me, you're gonna want to know it. Yeah, I'm actually gonna double check the, it does say Hawkmoth. So I guess the flashback parts actually takes place before episode 1 of season 4, because they still call him Hawkmoth. So this was before he changed his name to Shadowmoth. So it's between seasons 3 and 4. And she's like, don't forget to follow one for Hawkmoth too, kitty. He's like, ew, I don't want to go to the ice rink with him. She's like, trust me, you're going to need to follow it, and when you get that notification, I'm going to need you to meet up with me. I'll tell you more when the time comes. He's like, I don't get what you're getting at, but I trust you. I know your plans are complicated. And she's like, oh yeah, one more thing. I need you to put this piece of paper in your bell and keep it in there from now on. And he opens up like, half-wit? That's not very nice, m'lady. She's like, it's not at you. Again, you'll know more when the time comes. He's like, okay, I trust you. Which means that he was going around throughout all of season 4 with a piece of paper in his bell that said half-wit. Which I would be mad about, but it's not intended to be at him, so it's like, okay, it was all part of a trap for Hawkmoth, so it's like, okay, yeah, he's not the half-wit, Hawkmoth is, so it's like, okay, but at the same time, it's also like, yeah, I'm with Alia, it is a little funny that he had this piece of paper in his belt the whole time, but also at the same time, don't you call him a half-wit. He's not, he's very smart. He's just not as creative as Marinette is. He's straightforward, but he's still smart. And then we also get another flashback of her actually teaching this stuff to the Kwamis. And in the poster that she's showing them with all the pictures and everything, we actually do get to see Hawkmoth in his original season 1 design as Hawkmoth. So again, this plan was formed before episode 1 of season 4, which is interesting because she's... Well, no, I was going to say she's depressed during that episode, but she's not depressed until episode 2, so... or at 3. Yeah, she's not really depressed until episode 3, so I guess that makes sense that she's, still feeling super energetic and everything. But we do also get to see during her planning phase that she was super frazzled and everything. So we get the return of Frazzlenet, as I'm going to call her, with dark circles under her eyes and her hair is all a mess, just like it was in Catwalker, or not Catwalker, in Kuroneko. So yeah, we got to see that side of Marinette again. And then the girls just sort of laugh about the fact that this was all part of their plan. So yeah, Adrian got the notification about Monarch being at the skating rink, which told him that he needed to go there. And he contacts Ladybug, and she's... So, this all happens off screen, but, he contacts Ladybug, she tells him to meet her at the museum, and it is a good thing that happened off screen, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten the surprise of the paper and the statue. They did a really good job of keeping that part hidden, too. So, yeah, that was basically her plan, and it actually worked out really well. And then at the end of the episode, we get to see the damage on Gabriel's arm. And this part, of course, takes place is basically the Gabriel point of view of the scene where Adrian goes to his father and says, "Father, I don't want to be a model anymore." And I could definitely understand why he was distracted now. It's like at the start, it was like, oh yeah, he's probably just distracted because he's trying to come up with this new plan to defeat Ladybug and Cat Noir. But no, he's distracted because his arm is shaking. He cannot hold it still. And when Adrian leaves the room, he pulls his sleeve up, and his arm is black where he was cataclysmed. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is a scar. And it actually kind of, I'm looking at it now, and it kind of looks like you could see Cat Noir's handprint on his arm, too. It's like, oh my goodness. So, I mean, his arm doesn't seem like it's broken, but it's very possible that he damaged the nerves. So, we'll have to see if that heals at all. But then we get this last montage of him meeting with Tomoe, and Natalie is still acting as his secretary, so I guess she's still at least being professional about it, but, why is she still there? They had that falling out. It's like, you'd think she would leave, but I guess she's still here, probably for Adrian. We'll probably... we do know that there's going to be a clip of them hugging later on, so it's very possible that might be when she actually leaves. She might just be planning her departure right now, instead of actually just straight up leaving, because she does live there, so I guess it would take a little bit for her to actually leave. But, yeah, that's gonna be another episode where she gets akumatized. But then we see, during the process of making the rings, we see Gabriel taking the miraculous and using a laser to turn them into dust. And it's like, he is destroying the miraculous. He's destroyed the miraculous. Now, to be fair, the miraculous, we actually did get a comic which explains how the miraculous came to be. The Kwamis always existed, but then a magician created the miraculous so that humans could interact with the Kwamis. So these miraculous are man-made. So he deconstructs the miraculous, and then he turns them into the new rings. And that's what his new all-white outfit is, is so that he has an excuse to wear these gloves all the time, so that he can wear the rings all the time, instead of having them be everywhere. And that explains why he has the change of his design as well, because now he's wearing the miraculous differently. So he grinds them all up and turns them into powder, which he then uses to turn them into new miraculous, which are the rings. And those rings were developed by Tomoe so that the miraculous that he's going to be wearing can transfer the powers to the Gabriel rings. So now, and then we get to see the Kwamis in their little containment units, which is so hard to look at. It's so hard to see. But then we finally get his transformation sequence with all the lace. Like the transformation sequence itself is nice. I still just don't like that new costume. I like the transformation sequence with the lace. That's really cool. It's just the new costume that bothers me. But it definitely does make sense now why his costume is changing, because now the miraculous have changed forms. And oh my gosh, when Ladybug gets the new miraculous, that's going to be when they get the miraculouses back, that's going to be interesting, because now all the miraculous have changed shapes. But that also means that she could permanently give out some of these miraculous, because now it's like, well, they're just rings. So, well, actually no, because the rings actually look like they have their own colors and symbols and everything. So she might not be able to. I mean, she could probably still give people the regular rings and then transfer the powers to them, but that's gonna be interesting. To see how that's gonna go from here on. We might get a scene later on that shows them changing the miraculous back to normal, but yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in season 6, because this is going to be the season where they defeat him once and for all. Which means we're eventually gonna have to see Adrian's poor little heart break when he finds out that his father really is Monarch. But also, getting back to this episode, I have to say, I am not a fan of Gabriel changing his colors to all white. Like, I have a friend who likes to make fun of him for being white and red all the time. She calls him a candy cane. But at the same time, I'd much rather have Candy Cane Gabriel, who doesn't look sickly all the time with all this white washing his skin out, than all white Gabriel, who looks sickly because all the white is washing his skin out. This was not a good design choice. Why? Like, it's just his regular outfit, just palette swapped. And it's like, yes, they've done this with Adrian before too, where Adrian is in an all-white outfit, and I didn't like that outfit either, because it's just a palette swap of his regular outfit, and it's one color. Like, my gosh, you don't make an outfit that's all one color. Like, okay, yes, you can have yes, all black, but even then, like, Cat Noir's outfit is still offset by the fact that he's got his yellow bell, and the silver buttons and his stick, and the little bit of green on his ring. Even Cat Noir's outfit is not one color. It's like, I don't like this design choice. This is not a good design. Whoever thought of making these monocolor outfits needs to reevaluate their color theory. But yeah, we get the transformation sequence, and then we get the end card with Cat Noir looking understandably upset because he's still thinking about the fact that he cataclysmed somebody. And it's like, oh, my poor boy. But at the very least, afterwards he got to talk to Marinette and everything, and it's like, oh. At least he was able to move on, but I almost kind of wish this wasn't between episodes 1 and 2, just so that we could get Adrian thinking about the fact that he cataclysmed somebody in episode 4. But I guess they don't want to focus too much on that because it's aimed at kids. That would be something I personally would have him focusing on. But again, this show is aimed at children, and they like to play things safe, especially with censors and all that. But still, I do think that would have been a really interesting concept is for his character and development is him thinking about the fact that he actually cataclysmed a real person. So yeah, like maybe have him. I don't think they'll actually do this, but I think it would be interesting if if we at least get one episode of him thinking about the fact that he cataclysmed somebody and that person is now permanently injured. Well, possibly permanently injured. He doesn't know what that's going to do to him. We did see Gabriel's arm was Monarch's arm had the damage on it too. So it even affected his costume. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, I feel so bad for Adrian. He's got to think about this. Again, they probably won't have him thinking about it too much, but I would like to see them actually showing him thinking about the fact that he hurt somebody and that it can't be fixed anymore because now the fight is over. Ladybug's lucky charm was lost, and now nothing can be done to reverse that damage. Which also means Alia is going to need a new phone, but oh my goodness. I know. It's just one little thing, but it's still my son. But of course, that's probably a good thing then that they're probably not going to have him focus too much on that, because that means I don't have to see him sad. But also, the more that I like a character, the more that I tend to put them through everything. So it's like when I like an OC of mine, I put them through the ringer. So it's like, yeah, I would probably do that if I was writing him, but I'm not a writer on this show, so. But if you do want to see what would happen if I was a writer on the show, then be sure to check out my video series that we're doing here, What If Adrian Had a Twin Sister, which focuses on Adrian and his twin sister that I created, Adriana Agreste, who was originally developed as the gender bend of Adrian. And in the comic that you're seeing, that you've seen me drawing this video, she is, that's based off of the gender bent AU that I created, and Adriana is basically from that, but I asked myself, what would happen if she was actually Adrian's twin sister? And so we started developing this video series, so I hope you guys look forward to, more parts of that. We just released part 5, which I'm really excited about, and introduced Starlight, which makes me really glad that she's a permanent holder and not gonna have to give her miraculous to Ladybug all the time, because now she won't have to worry about that happening. Also, I just noticed on the end card that the rings are white, but they still have the symbols on them. So I don't know if the symbols can be hidden or anything. That would be interesting if the symbols can be hidden. That might be an interesting way for holders in the future to be able to hide the fact that they're wearing miraculous. It's like, oh yeah, this is just one of those rings that was created by the merger between Agreste and Tsurugi. So yeah, that might be an interesting way. Hopefully there is a way to hide the symbols, but obviously, he's still going to be wearing the gloves, because how do you explain all those rings, But anyways, I'll go ahead and stop rambling and end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos from me. We do all sorts of fun stuff on this channel, including playing video games, we do art, and also sometimes talk about cartoons and anime. So if you enjoy that stuff, then be sure to ring that bell icon and never miss a video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a very magical day.